The Love Life and Lose Weight podcast will teach you the art and science of changing your habits around food. If you know what to do, but can't figure out why you're just not doing it, this is the right podcast for you. I'm your host, Advanced Certified Weight and Life Coach Heather Beardsley. I've helped hundreds of women just like you figure out how to think and eat like a normal eater, lose weight, and love life on the journey to goal weight and beyond. Before I get into the episode, I wanted to make sure you don't miss out right now. The brand new 2026 Follow Through Digital Planner is officially available as part of my Thanksgiving special bundle. And this is the only time of year that you can get it at this price and never again with these bonuses. You will get the 2026 planner, sticker pack, 4 seasonal group coaching sessions with me, and a special December 20th set up your planner group call with me as well. This will never be offered again, and not for this price either. It's $55, same as the original planner that came out this summer. I'm keeping the price low just until Friday, December 5th at 8 p.m. This bundle is designed to help you get into the new planner with so many upgrades and new worksheets and expanded instructions that will help you follow through on your weight goals with a system to keep you grounded and organized and focused. It's like taking me, your coach, in your pocket every day of the year. It's live right now. It ends soon. So don't wait. Grab yours now at hbeardsley.com/planner. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/planner. And now to the episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I hope you had a great holiday and you're settling into your December with some intention. Today, I want to talk to you about your ability to follow through, which we know is really important. But the key is found not at the moment where it feels hard and finding ways to make yourself do something that maybe is feeling really challenging or difficult. We want to work the other end of the proverbial stick here. And what we want to do is to elevate your ability to keep your promises and follow through by setting implementable goals, doable goals. And I'm going to tell you how to do this. It really involves an art. It's the art of imagining what you'd like to accomplish in terms of what is the everyday cost that is going to exact on me. I will bear the cost of this expectation for myself. And do I have a plan to be able to overcome those moments of challenge and strife and resistance? There's ways to smooth the road for yourself. And I hope that this episode, by the time you're done listening, gives you some actionable ideas about how to improve your follow through, even just incrementally, by using some research backed ideas about how to make more realistic goals by envisioning how you will implement them in the day to day and then fall in love with that. So, as many of you know, I'm in the middle of moving houses right now. And if you hear some banging or loud noises, machinery, who knows? I have workmen all over this new house. We're putting in a new furnace, a new hot water heater, new carpeting. The house is over 150 years old. We're not exactly sure how old it is. And she needs a lot of work, and my work can't wait either. So, House and Heather are both working today, and I'm sure you will forgive me if this episode has a little bit of background noise in it. We will keep calm and carry on. Okay, so again, you don't break promises to yourself or fail to follow through because you're undisciplined. You break promises or fail to follow through in your promises because the promises themselves are not doable or they are unsustainable over time. I want to give my client Kay a big shout out for giving me the idea for this podcast episode. Thank you, Kay. All right. So most of us have been trained to set big, inspiring, aspirational goals. And let's face it, those of us who do set goals, especially like New Year's goals, we love it, right? It really, for many of us, not everyone, but for many of us, this feels exciting to think about what is possible and to start fresh on achieving those goals. The disconnect can happen when our aspirations are thinking about what we'd like to achieve isn't being translated into what am I going to ask of myself in order to implement what's needed in order to get those goals on a day to day and sometimes hour by hour basis. So today we're going to look at the relationship between aspirational goal setting, breaking promises, shame, and overeating, and what it actually takes to create goals that you can keep in real life. What this means is how you set goals has to fundamentally change if you find yourself in a pattern of starting, getting initially good results, and then petering out. And sometimes what can seem like self sabotage is creeping in. If that's a pattern that you recognize in yourself with your weight management, this is the podcast episode for you. Okay, so aspirational goals, let's talk about it. They feel really good until in the day to day of the implementation of your aspirational goals, it doesn't feel good. So many of you tell me that you kind of fall off on your habits or you stop tracking or you don't make a monthly goal maybe in the planner. And most of the time you do. And what that indicates is a fragility in your system, your your goal setting system. So we have to make sure that how you set goals is not only sustainable, but that it's robust and it takes into account some stressors to your weight management system. Stressors can be travel, stressors can be family staying with you, stressors can be a big work project, stressors can be my kid was sick for half of the weeks of this month. So we're going to really see how what you ask yourself to do is a burden, right? It is a burden. It costs you in time terms of energy, resources, sometimes saying no to yourself when you want to say yes. Habit change is difficult work. And the cost of this work is sometimes better able to be borne by you in the day to day at certain times of the year and at other times of the year. Maybe it's more difficult. So it feels like pressure. It feels like threat of failure. And usually what happens is the pattern I see is a seeking of relief to kind of throw off this pressure, this constant pressure. And for many of you that have been working at weight loss for sometimes decades, this seeking of relief is very common because we're constantly looking to change our habits around food and we rarely, if ever, give ourselves a break from it. And if we do give ourselves a break, it's usually in the form of like fuck it eating or rebellion eating. And that doesn't really feel like a break because usually what happens is we're judging ourselves the entire time and we're in sort of a shame spiral as well because we don't like this sort of casting off of our own obligations on ourselves and seeking relief. And then usually what we do is we seek relief by overeating, which is the very thing that takes us away from where we want to go. So the overeating could be reward eating, the I deserve this moment, the validation you seek for being good, quote, being good for a number of days or even weeks or even months. It's the treat, the snack, the small little indulgences that start to make their way into your habits that are easy to kind of fluff off or dismiss because they are so small. But the frequency of them increasing is letting us know that there's a disconnect between your goal setting and your implementation. So here's how it goes. Aspirational goals lead to pressure over time, which leads to human dysregulation, which often leads to overeating, which leads to discouragement and then a shame spiral. This is the exact loop that most women think is a willpower problem. It is not. It is a goal design problem. I'm going to say that again. This loop, most women think is a willpower problem, but it isn't. It's actually a goal design problem. So, doable goals are the secret. They're the antidote. They're the medicine, if you will, to keeping promises to yourself. Doable goals don't necessarily mean that they're small. It means that they're aligned. Doable goals take into account your bandwidth, your season, your time, your stress load, your environment, your responsibilities, your energy, and your emotional life. A doable goal is a promise that your current self, the one who has to live today, not your aspirational self that you were thinking vaguely about a few weeks ago, can actually honor your commitments to yourself. And this is where self trust is born. Every time you follow through on a doable goal, you will signal to your brain, I'm someone who does what she says she'll do. And you're building your reputation with yourself. You're building your self trust capital, if you will. And this is why rapid weight loss goals will often backfire because they exact so much of our time and resources in implementing. And to be honest with you, they may feel really great in the first week or two of the month. If you don't have things that are really in the way, I mean, it feels good to like show up and do what you said you were going to do and stay on plan and eat to 70%. And it doesn't feel bad until it does feel bad because usually aspirational goals require too much perfection, too few calories over too long a period of time, high vigilance, and no wiggle room. When I'm coaching my clients and I see they're getting results, I mean, sometimes really good results, and I say to them, okay, well, how many overeats did you have? And if the answer is none, I really start to ask some very probing questions because we want to build in some relief in your week so that when it all comes out in the wash, you've had, for most of my clients, it's at least one overeat, usually two, 1 to 2. For some of my clients, it can be many more than that, and they still lose weight. But those overeats do represent a little bit of relief, a little bit of less working hard. And it also gives you caloric variability, which is very positive for the body. When you're constantly in a low amount of calories with very little variability, these are people who strictly count calories, right? It's not how I teach weight loss. But nonetheless, if you're strictly low in calories and sometimes going too low, your body will start to ramp down fat loss because your body is rightly worried about your availability of food in your environment. So, all of this creates strain, and strain creates the desire for relief. And relief often comes in the form of overeating. So, what I want you to think about doing, if sounds like you, is to shift to a gentle, doable pace of 1/4 to no more than 1 pound per week. That is a maximum. You are not to go over 1 pound weight loss meaning fat loss per week. Okay. Any more than that is too much of an ask for you and your resources. And I want to put this forward that it makes your weight management fragile when we do this. Lowering your expectation for yourself gives you room to be human. It gives you room to enjoy your meals, enjoy a few overeats every week, and still reach your goals. You don't feel hunted in your observation of yourself, like the clipboard over the shoulder where you're really watching for any slip ups. It just takes everything down, the pressure down, and that allows you to be more consistent, more regulated. So This skill, this art that I'm talking about is translating goals into real life asks of yourself. So this is the part that 99% of everybody what they miss. Cuz even if your goal is realistic, you still need to translate it into real world actions that you can actually perform. So when you say I want to lose, let's say you take the 1 pound per week goal. What does that mean for yourself? I want you to be able to picture what that means on a Monday, that next Monday, that next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every single day in that week that we work in. We don't look any further than a week to figure out how does my life intersecting with what I'm asking myself to do look in terms of doability. So if you use my planner, you know you've got your weight goal blueprint. And on your blueprint, if you have my planner, you know, or at least are figuring out, actively figuring out how many overeats you can have and still lose weight. If you're eating for fat loss, you're going to be shooting for eating to 70 to 75% full with that extra number of overeats in terms of variability. So when you're not overeating, you're eating to 70 to 75% full. And your job is to figure out how many other times can you overeat in the exception and still lose weight. So then we're going to take those numbers, what I call your formula or your blueprint, and you're going to apply it to your week. So for me, I can lose weight with usually 1 or 2 overeats. And then the question is, okay, how do I want to spend them this week? Now, if I have a week where, like upcoming, I'm going to talk to you about a challenging week, right? The week before my son leaves for boot camp, I may not want to say that is a weight loss week for me because I will probably be overeating. I'll be sad to see my son go. I'll be thrilled to see my son go, but I'm probably going to be a little bit dysregulated because it's emotional, right? I'm not going to task myself with weight loss on a week like that. And this is where the art of goal setting really comes in, and it has to be anchored in the reality of the week you have coming up ahead. You need to ask yourself, what will my weekly goal cost me in terms of time, energy, attention, and effort, given the week that I actually have? And you need to think about what's in your calendar, what's happening at work, what's happening with your family. Are you traveling? What's going on? And all of this comes together. These disparate pieces come together. And you've got to ask yourself, can I ask myself to do this in the week that I have? Okay. Because mindfulness costs you effort. Pausing costs effort. Saying no. I already had my 2 overeats. I'm not overeating again. You're going to have to talk yourself through that. That costs effort. Planning costs you time and effort. And being aware costs you effort. And all of these are withdrawals in terms of your energy bank, which is limited every day. So most women set weight loss goals without pricing the true cost in the week that you ask yourself to do it. This is why it is crucial that you use my planner and you set weekly goals every week that are rooted in reality. So, some skills to perform this process, right, of setting doable goals. Mindful eating requires interrupting, checking out, or autopilot eating. So you need some reps to build that. And so, like, how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to have to put it on your calendar. Tuesday, when I'm eating alone at my desk, right, at home, maybe you work at home, that you're not going to listen to a podcast, you're not going to turn on the TV, that you are going to sit with your worksheet for how to eat less and feel satisfied. That's in your planner, and you make the effort to do that. You see, that costs you. You're actively working on this. So maybe that's what it costs you that week. Your tools that you will use will be to keep track of your overeats and count them. You're going to want to pause to check in with your hunger and your sense of satiety, or what percentage full you are with your food. You will need to manage your time and your tasks, making sure that you do not have too many open loops in your life, too many tasks that remain undone, which can also dysregulate you. You will want to lean on your planned overeats so that you know when it's coming, so you don't have to think about it in the moment or wonder how many overeats you have. And then doing your weekly assessments so that you have your feedback that tells you, hey, how did my experiment go this week? Was I able to stay consistent and reach my goal or not? And if not, then why was that? So I get this question a lot. How will I know that my goals are unsustainable? And I say that's really easy. You will feel overwhelmed and you will feel let down, even if it's just periodically. That's the one key. You can count on negative emotions to come up that are giving you negative feedback about your system, your goal setting system. So let's talk about some research that supports what I'm talking about. There's a psychologist by the name of Peter Gollwitzer, and his work discovered that people don't fail because they choose the wrong goals. They fail because they don't plan for the moment of choice. So, this is a new tool I'm giving you. He found that when people created tiny pre decisions called, we're going to call them implementation intentions, meaning this is what I will do when I find myself in this situation. He found that their follow through increased by 200 to 300% when you set an implementation intention. That's a mouthful. What it actually means is if X happens, then I will do Y. So if this, then that. I say this a lot, but it's so cool to know that this is part of Gollwitzer's research. So what it does is setting an if this, then that intention, an implementation intention, makes the desired behavior almost automatic for you. It kind of like preloads the action of what you will do. Here's why it works. It removes the need for willpower in the moment, which you may be low on because the decision is already made. It reduces the emotional overwhelm of the moment because you don't have to negotiate with yourself in the moment. It gives your brain directions ahead of time or a script to follow. There's no drama, it's just execution. And it also prepares you ahead of time to recognize when you're in a danger zone, right? These are the places where you historically maybe have this idea that it's hard for you to follow through or you let yourself down. So here's some examples. Here's an implementation execution. If I'm about to eat, then I'll pause and check my hunger. It's simple, it's doable, it's powerful. Here's another one. If I hit a sense of satisfied, being at my desired percentage full, then I'll take 3 breaths and stop no matter what my brain says about it. Okay, it's a tiny promise and it's easy to keep. It's low stakes too. It just says all I have to do is take 3 breaths and stop. Another one. If I hear the thought, I deserve this, then I'll ask myself what I really need relief from. Or you could ask yourself, what is this really about if it's not about food? Another one. If I want to snack after dinner, then I'll check whether I'm actually might be tired, like physically tired. We often conflate feeling physically tired with the desire to eat. Okay, so this will help your brain. And a final one, if I overeat, then I'll simply log it without judgment, just the facts. Okay, so this makes your observation of your overeating patterns a safer place to be. Okay, you can see how non dramatic these are. It's not perfection, it's not punishment, it's just a supportive, preloaded response in the moment of decision. So, Gollwitzer discovered that when you pre decide your actions, what you're doing is you're bypassing the emotional, overwhelmed part of your brain, and you allow yourself to tap into a more automatic, intentional behavior. This is how another way that you can begin to keep promises to yourself. So let's put it all together. This is what it sounds like in real life. Step one, when you set a goal, I don't care if it's for the day, the week, the month, the year, make sure that it is 80% likely that you can implement what is required to reach that goal with like 9 out of 10 certainty. Extremely certain. Like there'd have to be really something crazy going on in your week for you to not be able to follow through with it. What this means is decreasing the expectation of yourself so that you can show up more consistently and you can keep going with fewer fuck it breaks, right? Number two, translate the goal. Now that you've set a doable goal, you're going to translate it. What does this look like on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, each day of your week? When you're tired, cranky, exhausted, whatever it might be. Number three, script your implementation intention for those moments. If X happens, then I will do Y. Number four, step four, use your tools to stay aware. Overeat, log your overeats, stay in touch with your hunger cues, plan your overeats, and do your assessments. Okay, your weekly assessments so you get that feedback loop. And finally, step number five is commit to building self-trust through pursuing consistency rather than aspirational goals. Each kept promise is a deposit into your confidence bank that you get to take with you forever. So I want to leave you with this. You don't need bigger goals. You need better translations. You don't need more discipline. You need more doable promises. Self-trust is never created by perfection. It is created by keeping small, meaningful commitments that respect your limits of your humanity. This week, I want you to choose one doable goal, 9 out of 10 certainty that you can do it. Translate it into real life. What does this mean for me this week? Script any implementation intentions that could be challenging. If X happens, then I'll do Y, and follow through gently. This is how you become the woman who is able to follow through and keep her promises, not through pressure and perfection, but through alignment. Okay. All right. Come visit me over on Instagram and say hi. You can find me at Thrive in Midlife. Let me know how you found the episode. Stay focused and so long. Hey, if this episode resonated for you, then let's connect. Visit hbeardsley.com/subscribe. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/subscribe and become a VIP subscriber. You'll learn how to work with me. You'll get 2 free gifts, access to exclusive VIP content, and get a discount on the digital follow-through planner.